Okay, so this is starting to get a little scary. I do think uh, Japan's going to take off here, of course. It's getting a little complicated too, and I'm there's just so few units on the board for. It's hard to believe it's only round six. It feels like I've been through war and back already. Um, so some of the pointers. Well, first let's just go through what he did. He bought two tanks, put a transport down here in 62, and artillery. He just has two artillery there, which was weird, but I think that might have been a mistake. Maybe he wanted it infantry. Whatever. Regardless. And then he bought complex. I went ahead and put in here. So he obviously isn't planning on using Tokyo too much because I mean that gives him 8 here, and his transports are all spread out, so he doesn't have a whole lot of transports. Um, and he's still buying tanks down here, which the tanks are going to be, from all three of these factories, as he whatever tanks he builds out of these factories, this is going to be a little bit scary because once you take Kaza, which isn't going to be long, a tank goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 from India. So all three of them tanks can reach in 2 turns, and so he can be, and he's going to be getting money here, obviously, as Japan grows very quickly now. So he's going to turn the heat up on Moscow very quickly, and I don't have very many fighters on the board outside of the ones that are already there. I only got 2 other fighters on the board outside the ones that are there, and even if UK builds them, they got 2 turns to get there. Um, so we're going to see the heat turn up really fast on Moscow. That's the bad news. The good news of it is hopefully we're going to be turning the heat up on Berlin because he doesn't have a ton of units in here himself. Um, so hopefully we can get that. I mean, we do have Karelia kind of broken here, but we really have no Finchuk going to expose or utilize that. And I'm going to have to do an awkward couple turn shifting of my navy because he is bringing, as I suspected, the Japan Air is getting in here. So I need to keep an eye on these bombers. He spread them all over the place. So he's got one here, one here, one here, and one here. All 4 of them can hit Moscow from where they're at. That's one thing to keep an eye on. These 3 can hit the Baltic Sea zone. This guy cannot. Um, Only this one can hit the sea zone here, or 3. This one could hit 3, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'd have to have landing. We plan on taking that. So, only one. Only this guy can hit 3, or was it 6, 8, 8? Um, but that's definitely in threat. Theoretically 15, the Med's in threat, but my US is going to hit here, then my US is coming out. I'm coming out of the Mediterranean. It's going to get, especially as all this Japan air comes over, it's just going to get pointless. Um, so I'm not even going to worry about that component. And we're going to pull out. We're going to have to, what I'm planning on is going ahead and I'm going to go ahead and use 2 transports to take um, France with here. And I'm going to use 1 transport, and then I'm going to use 1 with a AA. Make him have to either use his bombers and at risk, or use a stack to kill it. Because I'm hoping next turn I'm going to be coming all back with UK, and I can even bring one of these guys back with me if I need the full 6. And we're going to have these 10 guys in a position where they can come back, and potentially 1 guy in Norway and a couple fighters, and so maybe we'll be able to pull off a France stack and start, you know, ramping up that, and then eventually, as these guys come around, spread back up to a Finchuk to get in here. But that might be too late to be helping Moscow, anyways. Because if you look at this, Japan's main army here, they're here on J6, J7, J8, J9. and all these tanks and all these air, that's going to be a lot of pressure on J9 on Moscow. And without Allied reinforcements being able to make it to them, or very small, tiny trickle at best, it's going to be hard to hold that back, even with me turtling and building what I can in there. So it's going to be, J9, J10, maybe J11 is what we're looking at as far as Moscow goes. So that's what I need to keep in mind in here, and trying to get pressure on here. I'm hoping, so we've got 10 transports. I'm hoping to start shifting to making sure we got 5 transports on average. It's going to be a little awkward a turn, or 10 US units, ground units coming, and 6 UK units, so 16 Allied units coming into Europe, and he'll be building 10 a turn. And, right now he's got, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 19 Germans in here. I'm going to be dropping these guys, so we'll have 3, 4, 5, 6 near him, so he basically has a 13 unit advantage right now, and I'll be hopefully doing 6 more than him, so it's going to take about 3 to 4 turns, or roughly US 10, US 11, US 12 to be posing an attack on here. The other thing that I want to point out, the strength with Japan building tanks, is as soon as he takes Moscow, he's going to try and get the tanks to the defense of Berlin, and the tanks obviously can get there in 2 turns, or if I end up abandoning Moscow and he doesn't have to use the tanks, then they go straight over and they're 1 turn quicker over to Berlin to help defend, and then all the airplanes that he's got all over the place. One other piece that I'm looking at is he moved his whole fleet into here, which likely is coming to 34, where then the fighters can reach all of Europe. But all he has is 1 destroyer in all of the Pacific. So as much as I'm going to be trying to put pressure here, I'm also going to start trying to think about a slow pressure KJF. 1, I am going to go ahead and take this sub shot on the destroyer transport. I see no reason not to take that. 2, I'm building a bomber to put over here so that if he decides to shuck another one over there, the most he'll have is protection of the destroyer versus my bomber. 3, if I successfully kill that, then I'll be able to use the 2 infantry, the tank, and bomber I'm building to take Alaska back next turn. So a lot of components going. He is coming down here, so there's just lots of skirmishes going in different places now. So he's going to be able to grab a unit and come down. So I'll have 2 infantry and artillery, and he placed this bomber here that can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's setting up for an attack there. I'm going to try and do a preemptive attack and do 3v2, which I believe this is a 50-50 battle. If I lose 1 and he doesn't, I'll retreat. As long as I have a 1 advantage, I'll continue, and maybe if I take it, then he has to use 1 infantry and a bomber, and maybe that infantry can defend and just create as much headache as I can down there. So lots of different things. My focus, I actually want to go ahead and kill these guys. It's very tricky because I got to watch out for the 1-2 with, again, 1 infantry and all this Japan air around, and these 4 tanks technically are going to be close enough that they could blitz through. But in order to secure that, these German troops either would have to take out my UK infantry, or they'd have to come stack, which means they're not hitting here, and just the Japan by itself won't be enough with my fighter stack. So he'd have to do a 1-2, which would leave this open for me to block the tank, so his second one would only be a 1 infantry. So I got a little bit of freedom this turn to play. Alright, I know that was a lot of talking preemptively, but I'm planning my US and my Russia and my UK turn all right now at the same time. So purchase-wise, I am building a destroyer to drop here. I'm going to bring my carrier. I'm going to have 2 fighters coming in here. Um, that's play number one. So, but I do need a destroyer so that I have two destroyers, carrier, two fighters, so that it's less tempting for the four German bombers. He does have enough money, by the way. 42 income still coming for the Germans, and he's only going to have the 10 spots, so he can build a bomber and still build 9 infantry in their next turn. So we're looking at probably a fifth bomber in here potentially. I would build a fighter if I was him because that's going to give you a defensive value too, and you don't really need the reach at this point. But I don't think that's going to be too big of a deal as the UK is going to be pulling out down to here, and then it's just three Japan bombers versus a loaded carrier and a destroyer of America, and then we'll get them here, and then we'll have our Americans and British sorted out and separated where they can each defend for themselves rather than going and hopefully have a France stack. I have not done the calculators on that, but even if I can't, even if it's at a low percentage, I think it's going to be good to just go ahead and dump everything in here, make him spend his units, and then dump again. So we do have to build a destroyer for the Baltic Sea zone. I am building that bomber I talked about and a tank. And then depending on how this goes, if I kill the transport, then I'm not going to put any of my other ground there. If I don't kill the transport, then of course I gotta worry about protecting West USA as well. He did place this bomber here obviously as well so that he could attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's not quite yet. If he gets the bomber to land in Alaska, if I don't take it back in time, then we got to watch our east coast here. So there we go. 5, 2, 1, destroyer, bomber. I think my shucking, again, I'm going to have ineffective shucking. I didn't do the best, I did not do my best job at making my US shucking 100% efficient because we're going to have a one transport sitting around this turn, not doing anything. I do want to have the 8 fighters there, so I'm not going to use this fighter to hit here. I'm just going to fly him directly over because my battleship is going to redeem himself. If not, I'll sink it myself. Maybe I'll send him on a kamikaze versus the Japan Navy. I thought about using my US to do air to do the pluck, but I'm not feeling that right now. And I don't think it's necessary at this point. I'm only using the one transport here because I want to bring the AA, like I said, to drop in there, and the other man can go back over here to help defend West Canada. It'd be really nice to take this without any loss. Make him have to really work to take France back. Oh, there's my dice. Of all places. You get the crazy dice and you don't need them. Here you go, battleship. Find yourself sunk if you don't hit. There you go. Good. So, gonna make him have to work for getting all his property back. Alright, this is the big one. Because this is pretty important. You know, if my sub can win and not die, then he can't come over regardless. Oh wait, That'd be non-combat. Can you unload on? I guess you can unload on a non-combat move, right? It'd be silly if he did, but anyways. Let's get that transport. Ah, rats. So I do need to think about what I need to be in West USA. It's gonna again affect my whole shucking a little bit. And I thought about just moving the AA over to West Canada, um, but I'm not going to because we're going to turn this up as much as we can, make them work over here. Making sure we can't land still yet. These in prep for Japan, or next time they can come into France. What's the best spot for this guy? And put him just down here where we got units going, and maybe I'll do something somewhere. I was really hoping to at least kill the destroyer. Alright, so let's see, what do I need to be comfortable? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, it's just the infantry artillery. Nothing else that can hit me. So what do we need for comfort with an infantry and artillery attacking? We're for sure going to have the tank and bomber there, so it's a matter of, is one infantry enough to be comfortable? Let's see, one infantry gives him an 18% shot without repercussion, to be honest. I'm not sure I like that. I think I'm going to put the 2 infantry. It means, again, inefficient shucking, but that takes it down to 3%. So yeah, we're going to put 2 infantry in there. Oh, these guys. So there's 2 choices here, right? Obviously. So I could move them here, and if they survive, if Japan doesn't use a transport to kill them, then I could potentially use a transport, because these next transports next turn, they're not going to have anything to do. I could use one to suicide, and as I pull out, just let that transport die, but use these to trade one more time down here. Or I can move them into here, where, yes, Germany could kill them, and Japan will take a shot at them, certainly, or will kill them if Germany doesn't kill them. But maybe they can take out a unit or 2 and also help prevent any potential blitzing. You know, if they're there, then he can't blitz through there. I'm honestly kind of torn on it. We're not going to be having fighter support or anything that can help him in there. And I feel like if I go here, it's going to be an easy kill, and I'm going to let these guys come in for the defense. They're going to be an easy kill here too, but I'd rather hopefully they take out a unit or 2 of Japan or Germany. I guess a third option is I could just leave them in Persia, right? They're still going to be an easy kill, but then we'd have I think I'm just gonna go this way. Hopefully, maybe hit a unit up front here. Is the route we're gonna go. I'm torn. All right, I'm gonna pause for a second because I'm gonna think on this. Yeah, I'm changing my mind. I reserve the right to. Unless that opens up the 1-2 possibilities. So what I was just thinking about, if I don't move there, does that allow Germany to take this, stack it, and hit Moscow for the 1-2 with the tanks blitzing through? But if he doesn't hit Persia, then I'm going to have 8 UK units that could hit whatever he puts there. So he'd really have to use them all there. So instead, I am going to come this way, make him use his transport this direction, buys one more turn for Madagascar and the rest there maybe, or maybe he doesn't and maybe he just comes in here and I can counterattack then. Okay. I think that's everybody. That's everything. Again, I'm not happy with my situation, but moving on. Oh, we should check. That doesn't matter anymore, so let's just get on my usual. So we're gonna do 1 here, 1 blitz, 2 up here. How many did I click there? 4 and a fighter, and it may turn into just a strafe and a retreat. I am going to do a recalculation because I'm getting nervous that I'm missing something here with these 1-2s and the tank blitzes and all the fighters and planes and whatnot. So hold on a second. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're still okay. Again, because I can block this if he doesn't use Germany to kill or go here. And if he doesn't use Germany to block or kill here, then he's not, if he does use it to do those, then he's not attacking Moscow, and Japan by itself won't be strong enough to knock him off. So I feel better about my odds then, because the Japan by themselves is what? Oh, didn't I put? Yeah, Japan by themselves is really not realistic. So we should be fine. Oh. Oy. I'm going to go ahead and just take it. Because Germany doesn't have much of a retaliation attack, and I can always move the, I mean, he's got the 1 infantry, and then, again, all his air. The tanks can't reach there yet. And I can always just move the AA over. Here's hoping I didn't make any miscalculations. And turtle time for Russia.